When last we left the denizens of Dallas, Sue Ellen ended her affair with high school sweetheart Clint Ogden and considered rededicating herself to JR and John Ross. But at just the wrong moment, her sister Kristen called to deliver the news. She just gave birth to JR's second son. And now, the fallout. Relations have returned to frosty betwixt JR and Sue Ellen. After getting Pam's hopes up with all the talk about medical advancements that they've made over the years, Rebecca has to be the one to soften the blow when Pam finds out she won't be able to carry a baby. Lucy gets called to do another shoot for Alex Ward's magazine, making for a salty Mitch. As per Jeremy Wendell's instructions last episode, Dave Stratton tips Cliff Barnes off that JR was behind the Southeast Asian oil well coup. If Cliff Barnes can deliver JR's head on a platter, Cliff gets a sweet job at Westar. Pam returns home and bonds with Sue Ellen over motherhood. Sue Ellen says that motherhood makes all the difference and admits that she would have left JR if it hadn't been for John Ross. Leslie Stewart meets with Jeremy Wendell at lunch and he tries to pry confirmation that she witnessed JR violating the law. Leslie is a rock, though. I mean, why would she give that up, even if she did witness it? What's in it for her, Jeremy? At business lunch, Ray Punk and the boys go over plans for the Lubbock project, and Ray gives his analysis only to be told that, yeah, they're already there and they even came in under his percentage. And it's clear that the other three are concerned that Ray can't even seem to read the report. But lay off Jackwads, he's new at this. I know I have fun at Ray's expense a lot, and trust me, I will again. But I hate when people are making a good faith effort to learn and they're treated like their ignorance is some sort of fixed characteristic. Learning takes work. It takes effort. And it's something that we should applaud, not sneer at, and goddammit, am I watching too much Aaron Sorkin lately?
Education is the silver bullet. Education is everything. We don't need little changes. We need gigantic, monumental changes. Schools should be palaces. The competition for the best teachers should be fierce. They should be making six-figure salaries. Schools should be incredibly expensive for government and absolutely free of charge to its citizens, just like national defense.
The point is, I'm an educator by trade, and I've taught blind students and deaf students and students on the autism spectrum, students in wheelchairs, and even a student who got shot in the head and had to have part of his skull replaced. But the only learning disability that you can't overcome is thinking that you have nothing to learn. Anyway, the guys are actually somewhat supportive, but in a patronizing way. There's definitely some head patting going on. Donna shows up to tell Ray that Dave Culver called and he needs her in Washington, so she's going to be gone for a few days. At the ranch, Bobby arrives home to find Pam sitting in the dark, which is either some major depressive shit or she's waiting to pop a cap in JR's ass. Bobby tells her to stop worrying about her family because he's got something that will cheer her up. A postcard from Luke Middens, the young boy Bobby bonded with in season 3. You know, in that one episode where Pam got bucked off the horse and had her second miscarriage? That one. For some reason, the postcard from Bobby's surrogate son doesn't cheer her up. JR meets with Miss Ellie's divorce attorney, Lincoln Hargrove, to discuss the odds of Sue Ellen getting custody of John Ross in a divorce. Lincoln, who is really not keen on seeing any of the Ewings get divorced apparently, tries to get JR to go to a counselor first before telling him the courts tend to favor the mother. We do get a minor production gaffe as you can clearly see someone stepping up behind a curtain of what is supposed to be a high-rise window. JR demands that Leslie not see Jeremy Wendell anymore. He's starting to get paranoid. Except it's not paranoia if they're really out to get you. Leslie bumps into Dave Stratton on her way out, which sends JR into a tizzy.
When I have somebody in my office, just buzz me and announce that I have my next appointment. Don't go blurting any names out.
Dave's just there to reassure him that Cliff has nothing on the coup. Cliff actually does seem to have something on JR as he pours himself a drink to celebrate. Pam comes over seeking solace after being told that she can't have kids, but he tells her to run to her mama if she loves her so much. Cliff is at peak douchebag here, but this is very much a hurt people scene, because once Pam storms out, Cliff calls up their mom. Pam is scared to tell Bobby, but her lack of poker face gives away that something is wrong. Bobby thinks that they should try anyway, but Pam doesn't want to get her hopes up. Yeah, that really is a scenario where Bobby has everything to gain and not a whole lot to lose. Lucy needs to stay another day in Houston to do a talk show, so Mitch hangs up on her. You know, I remember that he's a very busy med student and all, but every time we see him, he's sitting around the apartment. He should just go with her and shack up in a hotel for a night. You're making this way more difficult than it needs to be, Mitchell. Cliff and Rebecca finally meet for an awkward face-to-face. They don't really know how to talk to one another yet. He's still angry at her for abandoning him, and of course she's still feeling guilty. Finally, Rebecca acknowledges how awkward it is, and Cliff lays into her for leaving him at 5 years old to be a caretaker to a drunken father and a baby sister. She apologizes for thinking he could get past it and moves to leave, and then...
Mama, you didn't take any licorice, and I remembered you liked it.
Hey, it's just me. I haven't talked to you in a while, so I thought maybe I'd just call your son. And we're back after several hours of me being a blubbering mess. This obviously is a big scene for Cliff, as he's reunited with his mother, and it reveals a lot about why Cliff is the way that Cliff is.
You have any idea what it's like to be 5 years old and be told that your mother's dead, only to find out the truth is that she didn't want you, that she was only thinking about herself?
Yes, we got 3 seasons of him tilting at windmills over the betrayal of his father, but here we see why it was so important to him. He was left to be the man of the house at 5 years old. He had to put himself through college, to look out for his baby sister, to look after his near-indigent father. The man had his childhood taken away and inherited a vendetta in its place. How screwed up would you be? No wonder he's so resentful. No wonder he became a crusader. And no wonder he gave all that up once he realized the system wasn't built to punish the J.R. Ewings of the world, and he'd have to amass enough power to do that personally. And the fact that he remembered the licorice after nearly 40 years, it's like his rosebud. Anyway, it's a great moment for Cliff, a turning point for the character, and of course an excellently acted scene from both Priscilla Pointer and Ken Kercheval. It's criminal that Kercheval never got his due as an actor while the show was on the air. I get that Hill Street Blues was an awards juggernaut at the time, but you're telling me the K-Man couldn't get a nomination? And as if that weren't enough, we have the return of Kristen Shepherd, looking very bougie and up to no good. Cliff Barnes storms the Senate demanding that they take up action on the very important case against J.R. Ewing for violating the Logan Act. That really seems like something a federal prosecutor would look into, and not a state Senate committee. But Cliff is a law-talking guy, and I'm not. Rebecca tells Pam the good news about Cliff, but Pam is skeptical that Cliff would do anything that wasn't in his financial benefit. Bobby tears into Cliff for blindsiding him with the evidence against JR instead of bringing it to him first. He says Cliff only took the job so he could find something to use against the Ewings. But, no? Cliff took the job because Bobby asked him to. Cliff didn't even want the job at first. At the hotel, Kristen calls someone who is surprised to find out she's back in Dallas. She tells them that the baby looks just like them. And given the fact that JR is not in the scene, tells us that it's not him. At the condo, Mitch brings his pretty classmate Jean home for drinks and conversation, on the condition that they don't talk about marriage or Lucy. JR picks a fight with Sue Ellen, who is off to shop for John Ross. He, of course, thinks that's code for hotel room nooner, and he gets even cattier.
One day attending that boy and you're out chasing again.
Miss Ellie calls before the fight can continue, giving a cheerful update from Paris that is much sadder in retrospect. Back at the condo, Lucy comes home to find Mitch on the couch and Jean in the bedroom. Obviously, that's a bit of a shock, so Lucy and Mitch finally have the fight that's been building up since they got married. He didn't want to live off her family's money, and she wanted a certain lifestyle, so she got a job, using her family's connections instead. Now she has to work all the time, and Mitch accuses her of, gasp, enjoying her job. Apparently, nobody told Mitch that marriage would be this hard. Married to a millionairess model who wants to do everything in her power to give him a comfortable life, while he works his way toward pursuing his dream. Gee, I'm surprised he lasted this long. Lucy gets so angry that she plans to move back to South Fork. In the shopping district, Sue Ellen is frustrated from the fight she had with JR when she's accosted by a limo driver, who reveals Dusty Farlow. Dusty explains that the last surgery he had didn't take, but then he realized that he wanted Sue Ellen, so he just gumptioned his way out of the wheelchair. Yeah, I don't know that that's how that works, but whatever. Sue Ellen and Dusty declare their love for one another and plan to make the reunion permanent. At the Texas Senate, the non-Bobby senators vote to table the investigation. Bobby wants to know from JR himself, but JR says that he's absolutely 100% not guilty. At Cliff's, Cliff mansplains France to Afton.
I know where the Loire Valley is.
And they celebrate the breaking of JR. It turns out that Cliff accused the Senate of covering up JR's wrongdoing in the press, so now it's all over the front page. They'll have to hold a hearing. This sets off a firestorm. Leslie calls Wendell to discuss reuniting, and JR calls Hank Johnson in a panic to figure out who was leaking the information. Meanwhile, the target of Kristen Shepard's shakedown is revealed as Jordan Lee. He shows up at the hotel to pay her off for her silence. Turns out she's been soaking him for thousands of dollars a month in hush money, and now that the baby has been born, she wants one big score for her silence. Jordan pays her off, but warns her to get out of Dallas before she runs into JR.
You might just run into JR while you're here.
You're right, Jordan. I just might.
And we're out. This is an episode that is jam-packed with plot and incredibly efficient in doling it out. In the first 5 minutes alone, we get 6 scene changes, each with its own bit of information to push the plot along. The scenes never have a chance to meander aimlessly to fill time, as they often did in the middle of the season. In an episode filled with storylines, the obvious one that stands out to me is Cliff's reunification with his mother. Not just for Ken Kercheval's amazing performance that runs the gamut of emotions in that scene, but for the future impact on Cliff's life. It may not seem like it now, but the past 2 episodes completely reinvent the character, stretching beyond the original run into the reboot. This is where he goes from sad sack loser to sad sack loser with a bunch of money. The episode is an automatic thumbs up for that scene alone, but wait, there's more. Kristen Shepard returning, confirming an affair with Jordan Lee, casting doubt on her child's parentage, and promising to pay JR a visit, and she did it all in less than 5 minutes of screen time. Sorry, I just appreciate economic storytelling. And the best thing is that Kristen has been conning 2 men into paying her hush-money, knowing that they're on the outs and probably not going to be talking to one another. And certainly not about this. Bobby and Pam barely get a chance to breathe after her season-long snooze-inducing dalliance with Alex Ward, and now she learns that she was always destined to miscarry, even before the accident in the barn and on the horse. And while you'd think that that would be a quest to get resolved, the way it gets resolved is another one of those series-changing decisions. Finally, Cliff gets the information he needs to bring JR down. But things still don't go as planned for any of these people. Full Circle may be one of the best penultimate episodes of the series, and it's chock full of series lore and great performances. And as we barrel to the season's conclusion, we have to ask the question, how are they going to top last year?